All right, let's jump right into a fascinating thought experiment. We're going to explore a martial art that is so ruthlessly efficient, it could literally rewrite some of the most famous fight scenes in movie history. Just think about that for a second. You know the legendary mirror room scene in Enter the Dragon? The incredible tension, the style, all those acrobatics? Now, what if all of that was just over? Gone in the time it takes to snap your fingers. That is the level of brutal, almost scary efficiency we're talking about today. So on one hand, you have the movie we all know and love, Lee's incredible, flowing, almost balletic style. But on the other hand is the rewritten version. Instead of that tense back and forth, O'Hara lunges, Lee just sidesteps, yanks him off balance, and slams him into the mirrors. End of story. Fight over. There's no flair, just physics. So what in the world is behind this crazy shift? Well, what is this martial art that completely changes the game? It's a modern hybrid system, and it's called Tetsuryoku-Ryu. Tetsuryoku-Ryu, that literally translates to Iron Force style, and its entire focus is on something the creator calls combat engineering. See, it's not about trading punches at all. It's about using very specific 45-degree angles to completely disrupt an opponent's structure and just end the fight before it even has a chance to start. So, how does this actually work in practice? Let's break down the absolute core of the system, the 45-degree takedown. Okay, the secret sauce here is a Japanese martial arts principle called kazushi. All it means is to unbalance your opponent. So instead of blocking an attack head-on, you actually welcome it, you pivot, and you use the attacker's own forward momentum to bring them down. The goal, the only goal really, is to make their own force their biggest weakness. And this right here reveals the core philosophy of the whole art form. The ground is a grave. Tetsuryo-Ryu avoids going to the ground like at all costs. Why? Well, in a real-world fight, especially with multiple attackers, the second you go to the ground, you're in massive trouble. The goal is to stay on your feet, deal with threats, and always be mobile. And this all comes together in what's basically the core loop. First, you bait your opponent into a simple, straight-line attack. The second they commit, you pivot 45 degrees into what's called the dead zone, a place where they can't really hit you effectively. From there, you apply a super simple push or a pull to their shoulder or their hip, and that's it. Their balance is broken. Then you finish the fight, still standing. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't some single ancient art. It's more like a modern Frankenstein monster, built from the deadliest parts of other proven systems. You've got the iron body conditioning from Kyokushin karate, the slick pivots from Aikido, the incredible leverage of judo, and the up-close control of Muay Thai. It's all about what works, period. All right, now for the really fun part. We are going to run this brutally efficient system through a pop culture gauntlet and see how it just completely shatters some of our favorite movie moments. First up to the plate, the Scream franchise. What happens when Ghostface decides to stop playing with his food? Think about it. The entire horror genre runs on suspense, on chases, on the struggle. But with Tetsuryoku-Ryu, all of that just evaporates. That terrifying opening scene with Casey Becker, instead of a long chase, she swings, Ghostface pivots, and it's over in 4 seconds. The tension is just gone, replaced by this cold, shocking efficiency that, honestly, it completely breaks the slasher formula. Okay, next up. What about the ultimate underdog story, The Karate Kid? This is a total clash of philosophy versus pure physics. Miyagi-Do is all about balance, defense, patience. Tetsuryoku-Ryu, though, it's about aggressive, geometric entries. So forget wax on, wax off. Daniel would be practicing pivot drills. And the tournament? When Dutch goes for that leg sweep, Daniel wouldn't get injured. No way. He'd pivot, use a shoulder yank to collapse Dutch in 3 seconds, and just move on. No drama, no iconic crane kick, just a dominant, boring win. All right, let's move on to the raw, gritty brawling of the new Roadhouse. The fights in Roadhouse are messy, they're drawn out, they're super brutal. But with this system, they become, well, clean, surgical, almost mathematical. That big showdown between Dalton and Conor McGregor's character, McGregor winds up for his big left hand. Dalton just sidesteps 45 degrees, grabs his shoulder, and uses all that forward momentum to send him crashing into a wall. See? It's not a fight anymore. It's a physics problem being solved. So we've seen how this system handles brawls and tournaments. But let's just push this thing to its absolute limit with a fun, kind of weird, holiday-themed thought experiment.
I want you to imagine a single practitioner of this style facing off against 100 of Santa's elves. How do they do? Surprisingly well. The system is designed for multiple attackers. By constantly pivoting and pulling, the practitioner could actually use the first few elves as shields, even as projectiles, creating this massive domino effect of pure chaos. But what if, after they defeat all the elves, Santa himself shows up and he's a T-1000 liquid metal Terminator? Well, this is where physics hits a brick wall. You can't break the balance of something that doesn't have joints. You can't knock out liquid metal. The system's core principles just become totally useless, and those survival odds plummet to pretty much zero. The only move left is to run. So after all this, you're probably wondering, who on earth came up with this incredibly unique and provocative martial art? Well, the origin story is honestly just as surprising as the system itself. The whole system was developed by an Australian entrepreneur named JARROD A. FREEMAN. Now, what's so fascinating is that he has no publicly detailed martial arts lineage, no big competitive background. He basically synthesized his own training insights from a bunch of different arts, and get this, he used AI tools like ChatGPT to help him structure and articulate all of his ideas into a cohesive system. It's a truly modern martial art, born from synthesis and technology. And this all brings us right back to our central theme, which is really a conflict that sits at the very heart of cinematic action. So this leaves us with one final question. What do we actually want from a fight scene? Do we want the dramatic, drawn-out spectacle of a choreographed dance that tells a story? Or do we want the shocking, brutal science of a system designed to end a real confrontation as fast as humanly possible? There's really no right answer, but it will definitely change the way you watch your next action movie.
Thanks for watching.